All right, Cool FM live from our studios here in Sierra Vista, Arizona. Live interview with Jacob Kartchner, Cochise candidate, Board of Supervisors candidate for District 3 in Cochise County, endorsed by Mark Dannels. And again, this video interview is paid for by Jacob Kartchner for Supervisor District 3. First of all, Jacob, thanks for joining us and welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and for folks who may not know you, who are you?
Well, Todd, thanks for having me. So a little bit about myself. I'm a fifth generation resident here in Cochise County. I was raised here, graduated St. David High School, went to Cochise College, pretty much spent my whole life here. I started with the Sheriff's Office in early 2004, did a little over 20 years serving the public, almost half my life serving the public here in Cochise County. Married my wife, and we've got two kids, two grandkids. We own and operate the Mescal movie set, and we've got a little ranch up there around Mescal. And you know, just love to be here.
It's a pretty big ranch, isn't it? I mean, over there in the Mescal area.
Well, it's got some size.
Yeah, it's great though. What made you decide to run for the Board of Supervisors?
You know, I started, like I said, with the Sheriff's Office, and I did a little over 20 years there, and I decided at that point in time that it was time to move on. I'd done what I could there, but I wasn't done with Cochise County yet, and I wasn't through serving my community. So I decided to, before I retired, I decided that this was the route that I wanted to go. And a little history about myself. My great-granddad actually did 22 years with the Sheriff's Office and retired as the undersheriff back in the early 50s, and then he went on to serve on the Board of Supervisors. So I kind of look at that and say that my path was chosen for me a long time ago, before I was ever even born.
What do you think what is the role of the Board of Supervisors as a supervisor?
You know, the Board of Supervisors, their role is clearly defined in Arizona revised statutes, but to me, it's part of a co-equal form of government, and the Board of Supervisors, their primary focus is to make sure that the citizens of Cochise County have a quality of life while maintaining fiscal responsibility. We have to prioritize the budget. We have to make sure that the comprehensive plan and the strategic plan and everything is followed, so that we, you know, are maintaining what Cochise County is today and what it was in the past, and looking to the future, but all the while making sure that resource needs are met while maintaining that fiscal responsibility.
What do you feel are the most important issues facing your district? And we want to clarify, District 3 actually includes Wilcox, St. David, Benson, Whetstone, Huachuca City, Fort Huachuca even, Sunsites, and Dragoon, those particular communities as well. So it's a pretty big area.
Oh yeah, no, District 3 actually takes in a little bit over half of Cochise County, which is, you know, enormous, and it's very diverse, and the county is diverse in that aspect as well. But the issues facing people in District 3 are really no different than any other district in the county. There was a study done about 8 years ago, and most people, the two number one issues that were being faced by citizens here in Cochise County was their number one issue was making sure that public safety was paramount, and then number two was transportation. And I think over the last 8 years, I think we could probably add water to that. And you know, when we start talking about those as being the number three issues, you know, I've done a little over 20 years in public safety. I've dealt with the water issues. I was part of the Pomeranian Water Users Association and been called to testify on those issues, both border issues and the water issues, both at state and federal levels. So, you know, those are the issues that are facing the people in District 3.
And of course, most recently, the city of Wilcox, you know, in particular, is facing some severe water issues that they're having to address. I've noticed in the news anyway lately. As well.
Oh yeah, no, there's water issues, and we've got three different watersheds up there in just District 3. We've got the Sulphur Springs, we've got the San Simon buoy area, and then of course the San Pedro, and all three of them are distinctly different, but they're all an issue that gets brought up quite a bit.
So what are your specific priorities if elected as a Board of Supervisor for District 3?
My number one priority is make sure that, all three of these priorities that I'm going to give you right now are what I call quality of life issues. So we need to make sure that public safety has the resources that they need. We need to make sure that we maintain that relationship between the sheriff's office, the local PDs, even the state law enforcement, and then the county attorney's office. We really need to make sure and maintain those relationships, because without public safety, we do not have quality of life. Number two is environmental issues. So that ranges everywhere from the water issues to the ground subsidence, the fissures that are opening up all over the county. We need to make sure that the road department and the health department, and from flooding issues, St. David and Willow Lakes and these buoy actually had a big flood here a couple years ago. So we need to make sure that we have the resources in place, again, to deal with these environmental issues. And then the third is growth. And growth, I put it third because even though I like Cochise County the way that it is right now, growth is coming in, and we need growth to sustain, but it needs to coincide with who and what we are as a county. The Cochise County, historically, we just can't forget who we are. Let's just leave it at that.
What have you done to prepare for this position?
Well, I think spending my entire life here in Cochise County and the service that I've done, my community service has spanned everywhere from, being a coach and a scout leader to being on water boards. I'm currently on a water committee with Cochise Graham Cattle Growers, and we're working on getting a position out there. I've also served on the St. David School Board, still serving there. And then, of course, 20 years with the Sheriff's Office. And, you get to know quite a bit of the county and the issues that are being faced out there, not only on the public safety side, but also on the roads, because let's face it, we're the first ones there when a road's flooded. We're the first ones there trying to get people out of evacuation zones when the fires are happening. And so, I think that I've prepared myself in just being a part of the community and wanting to serve.
How would you promote economic growth and diversification of industries in Cochise County?
I've been asked that question a couple of times, and honestly, it's not the government's role to bring in business. That's private enterprise. But what we can do is we can ensure that the growth, the industry that does come in, coincides with who and what we are. And that's where I would say that we need to focus more on. We need to look at our past to make sure that we are going in the right direction for our future.
How can you balance your district's needs against the county's overall budget constraints?
Well, the county as a whole is, like I mentioned before, is very diverse, and so is District 3, being the largest district. But, the county has three main economic drivers. We have tourism, we have agriculture, and we have Fort Huachuca. Those are the huge economic drivers that we have, all three of which are in District 3. So, we need to balance the road budget against everything else, because if people can't travel the roads here in Cochise County, they're not going to come here for tourism, and that industry is going to suffer. If agriculture is doing more damage to the roads by sending big trucks down Dragoon Road or Davis Road or whatever else, then we need to address that through our public safety partnerships. But having the business with the movie set and being involved in tourism and having the farm and ranch and growing up in that life, being involved in agriculture, I guess out of the three main industries here in Cochise County, the only one that I don't have a foothold in would be Fort Huachuca. And I think that I could safely say that 20 years in public safety would probably give me an idea on some of the things that they're facing. So I would balance, again, being fiscally responsible, but really working hard to get that tourism and that making sure that the agriculture and tourism in Fort Huachuca, all three of which are in my district, until we find another industry that brings in that kind of capital to the county, we need to make sure and really push hard for them.
Jody D. Swiss is asking, what about the water issues? And again, Jody, we did cover the water issues earlier, but if you want to just readdress that, sounds like you're committed to trying to figure that area out.
Oh yeah. So again, with the water issues, we've got, I sit on a water committee right now with Cochise Graham cattle growers, and we're working on a position paper. And I think what we need to do, as far as I think with Sulphur Springs being the most critical right now, we really need to sit down with all the stakeholders there in the Sulphur Springs Valley and come up with a plan, because before Phoenix, before the Arizona legislature, before ADWR comes up with a policy, we need to sit down and come up with a policy that's local, that we can live with, before they just come down from Phoenix and say, this is the policy you're going to live with. So having those relationships throughout the county and trying to bring the municipalities and the agriculture and the ranchers and the wine growers and the residents and trying to balance all that, even with the mining, we have to get all those people to a table. And I think right now there's a private entity that's trying to do that with the Sulphur Springs Water Alliance. That's a great start. We need to continue and really push for that, because unless we can come up with a local solution, nobody's going to like the one that comes out of Phoenix.
Talk about some of the endorsements that you've had, because you did have one big endorsement in particular in Cochise County.
So endorsements, they're showing trust in the way that I've handled myself in the past and what I can bring to the table. So some of the endorsements that I've got, Mark Dannels, the Cochise County Deputy Sheriff's Association, some really good folks there that actually came out and wrote a really good endorsement letter for me. I've got Peggy Judd actually wrote a really good letter of support for me, in the fact that she believes that I can step up and do the job that she's done. I've actually had 3 other candidates that ran in the primary. Cochise Graham cattle growers just came out with a letter of support. You know, I've gotten several that have said that they're going to write me letters, and I just haven't got them here yet. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
All right. Well, Jacob Kartchner, he's running for County Supervisor, District 3. And again, his website, jacobkartchnerforsupervisor.com. And if folks want to support your campaign and learn more about you, they can go to the website. Jacob, any other final thoughts as we wrap things up and head into Election Day?
You know, the biggest thing is let's get people out and vote. Whether you vote for me or not, you need to get out and vote. And if you have any questions of me, go to the website. There's a contact me page. You can reach out to me there, or you can find me on Facebook, or Jacob Kartchner for BOS. And you know, if there's any questions at all, I'm an open book. But I'm asking for your support, and I'm asking for your vote, and please get out there and vote. Thank you.
This message is paid for by Jacob Kartchner for Supervisor. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Jacob.
Thanks.